Hi, I'm Paul Battaglia, and this is section 1.3. There are a lot of things we could talk about in this section, but we wanted to highlight just a few specific things that you might want to really emphasize with your students. So I'm joined by Gabe and Brittany, and Gabe, I guess start us off with this idea of increasing and decreasing functions.
So I think students come into this section with an idea of what it means for a function to be increasing, decreasing, and constant. And really we're just trying to formalize some of this. So maybe add some new definitions and really have them understand what we mean when we say a function's, let's say, increasing. So I probably wouldn't start with the definitions given in the book. I would probably just draw a graph up on the board and let's maybe use these words to try to describe what's happening. So I would point out that as we're moving from the left to the right, if the graph's increasing, well, or going up as we move to the right, we say this graph's increasing. If it's flat, we'll say it's constant. And if it's moving down as we move from the left to the right, well, we say the graph's decreasing. And then I might introduce the formal definitions and actually show them how they pertain to that conversation that we just had. So students leave our little discussion just having an idea as to what it means for a function to be increasing, constant, and decreasing. Also, I guess while we're talking about this idea of increasing, decreasing, and constant, I like to really stress that when we're talking about the intervals on which functions increase, decrease, or constant are really intervals on the x-axis. So there's some sort of subset from the x-axis. Because students might tend to think, well,
I see that a lot,
it goes from down here to up here, so it increases from, I don't know, 0 up to 7.
You're using y coordinates.
On the y coordinates, So I really like to stress that it's some subset of the x-axis.
I even actually have students who, when they're describing those intervals, actually use the entire point from here to there, like 1, 2 to 2, 7 or something like that. So so great point by Gabe. Want to make sure we use x coordinates to describe those intervals. Brittany, talk to us a little bit about the idea of maximum and minimum values.
All right, so after my students have learned about the increasing, decreasing, we get into the discussion about relative minimum, relative maximum. And a lot of students believe that you can only have one or the other, which is definitely not true. And if you have one relative minimum, you can't have multiple
relative minimums. I see that a lot too.
So I like to just make sure that we do a lot of examples where we have a lot of increasing and decreasing going on to show that there's multiple relative minima and relative maxima in one graph.
That's a good example. Definitely make some time for that. I hope these tips have been helpful for you and you find much success in section 1.3.